Hi, everyone. It's Sheryl here with Lucie from the BookWidgets team, and we're happy to welcome you to our Wednesday webinar series. And today we'll be focusing on the power of the planner. We're so happy to have you here. Away we go. So we're going to be talking about the power of the Planet widget and how you can create some really exciting interactive learning paths for your students. When I think of the planner, I think of all the possibilities that are available to us as educators, as people in education and in our classrooms. And for me, the three ways that I most have used the planner is one, an empty planner where my students choose from a list of activities that they want to do. Also a half and half planner, which is sort of like what I like to call a choice board. And a choice board is where I have things that the students need to complete, but then I also let them choose or add whatever it is they want to complete. And then for some of us, our students might need, or we might want to have what is called a strict learning path planner. And that is where the students follow a path or a plan that we have outlined for them. And that is set up by us for the teacher. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at what those three examples look like. Let's start with the empty planner. I'm going to open up a couple of activities for us to look at. This is really great, and I like to tie this in. Last week, we talked about differentiating instruction, and I think this widget is really great for differentiating instruction. You can provide different activities for different students. So here's my planner, it has a background image, and then a couple of things I want to point out on the planner tab. Do you see that you have a microphone where you can record something for the students?
Click on the question mark icon for instructions.
So you can see that they've been directed to click on this question mark icon for further instructions, and notice the little arrow that is sort of a visual symbol. So we can do that. And now we have a set of instructions for the student. And of course, we have our navigation tool at the top to head on back to our list. After we read those instructions, we now know that we need to come here and choose different items. So this is where the magic comes in for the students. The students are able to scroll through the list and choose an item that they want to add to the list. And you see that our list just keeps growing. And I love this planner because it also has a checklist in it. So it's like a little way to remind our students to where we're going. But why do I want the checklist at the bottom? So I'm going to come right down here and grab those three lines, and I can move any of these tabs where I'd like to place them. And so this is, once again, totally customizable for our students. Then let's say that I opened up this book cover explanation, and I have to create a book jacket. Oh, I'm not very good at drawing, so I don't want to have this. I can press my trash bin, my rubbish can, and then come back up here and try a different item from the blue. And once again, I can move that up or down. So this is a great example in this digital book report of how students can use an empty planner. And think about how, as an educator, you might be able to customize that planner for your students who need more time or for your students who need support in another language. Let's take a look at another example of that empty planner. I love this empty planner. I'm going to go ahead and clear it out. This is how my planner would start for my students. Once again, we see the same icons. You add these, totally customizable if you want them or don't want them. The audio, the rearrange, the trash bin, and then heading out. So we can head out, take a look at our instructions, got my holiday bucket list ready to go, and then I can choose any of the activities that I want to put in my holiday bucket list, and of course, move them around so that they're in the order I, as a student, want to complete them in. So I love this idea of an empty planner. But sometimes I really have an activity that I want my students to do, and I know none of them will choose it from the planner. That's where a half and half planner comes in, once again, this is really great for differentiating your lessons, but this might be differentiating your lesson more on skill than on those learning preferences. Maybe I have some advanced math students or some science who are some students in science and others in chemistry. So here's a great widget link, and I love this. If you haven't found the new directions tab, let's just take a minute and navigate on over to our widget dashboard, our creation dashboard. If you have not seen this tab for instructions yet on your creation dashboard, it is wonderful. This is now where in those activities, maybe not a quiz or a worksheet, because you can include those in a non-question type question, but you can add the information here for students that will have clear instructions for them. I love this, and notice the rich text formatting, so you can insert any type of bold or images that you like. And while I'm here, let me just take a minute and show you all to the About tab. Especially in a planner, the About tab is really great, because if you're differentiating, you can use this tab to say, this is for my students who are learning English. This is for my students who are advanced math students. And it's only available to you. So your students won't be like, oh my gosh, I'm not in the smart class, or I'm not in the advanced class. It's a great way to put in standards, or somebody chatted with me earlier this week that they were going to put in their dates. This is when I use that widget. So I wanted to show you that since the directions popped up here on the widget. So in this choice board widget, we see that the teacher has listed activities that the students must do. Let me go ahead and clear this out so everybody can see. The teacher has said everybody must complete the hour of code. And then one math activity and one reading activity. So we have our choice board of 3 choices. So where are my math activities? Let's head over to the plus sign. And here are all of the math activities that students can choose from. So think about if you have students who would rather do a worksheet, or students who would rather do a game, students who would rather watch a video, you can create those activities for the student. Here we have reading comprehension at different levels. So my students might choose a challenge reading comprehension activity. And then, I love this, add this task to your planner when you've completed your choice board. So after you've completed your activities, yes, I've done my activities, you can come over and you have this nice little visual that you can say, all right, here's my choice board, which I have now completed. Just as a visual reminder for the student about that choice board. Let's take a quick look at another half and half planner. This half and half planner is really great for keeping our students organized, especially our younger students. Sometimes they forget what they need to bring to class. So we've put in all of the must-haves. These are the non-negotiables. You have to have your agenda, your lunch, your drinking bottle, your homework folder. I need you to come with your textbooks and workbooks. And now here's some optional things. Maybe you have gym on Monday or Wednesday, so you could add your gym clothes. Maybe you're a student who wears computer glasses. Maybe you always forget your earbuds or your headphones. So the things that the teacher expects you to have in class, as well as what you can add yourself as a student. And then finally, we're going to head on over to a strict learning path widget. A strict learning path widget is exactly what that is. It's non-negotiable, and you have to do it on my terms. And you'll notice right away, oh, the reorganization is gone here. I cannot get those 3 little lines and drag and drop my activities into different orders. This is a writing process, so of course I want my students to do it in a specific order. You can also use it for math, a science fair project, an art project, a music composition project, a physical education activity. And you'll see once again, I have my arrow pointing out to another activity, but what is missing? No plus sign. So this says to my students, you must complete all of these activities for my work. And here, once again, you can see We could put a widget inside the planner. So this is a rich text formatting question. I've included audio for my students, and I've added feedback. These are all of the things that we talked about in our differentiating webinar. If you didn't have a chance to attend it, please make sure you check that out on our YouTube channel. I think it was a really great webinar and lots for everybody to be able to take advantage of and learn about. Now I'm going to pass this on to Lucie and let Lucie talk to us about how we're going to create those planners.
Okay, so we're going to show you how to create these planners. So you have lots of inspiration what you can do with the planners. But now, of course, it's also important how you can create a planner and what makes a planner empty to start with, what makes a choice board planner or half and half planner, and also what makes a strict learning path planner as well. So the first thing we're going to do is create a planner. And the most important things here are step 1, add your title, and we're going to define some category colors. I'm going to show you right here. So I have, you can see my screen, I'm right inside BookWidgets. I create a folder for my planner. It's always easier to create a folder because I'm going to create a planner. The planner will be my structure, but inside the planner, students will have to make some additional exercises as well, some additional widgets. And it's interesting and it's easier for me as a teacher to have everything together. So I created a folder right here, and you can see that I've already posted everything in here, all my widgets that I want to put inside my planner, I have to create first. So that's the first thing you need to remember. You have to create you have to know everything that's going inside your planner, and then you can create the structure around it, which is called your planner. We're going to create one, so click on the button Create New Widget and then scroll completely down. It's right here. Or of course, you can also use a filter and choose for planner, and then the planner will pop up. Okay, so I'm going to create my planner, and first thing I'm going to do is give it a name, and the name here will also be the title. You can, it will take it over. So fruits in French. I hope your French is all good, so we can practice some fruits in French. You can see that the title, it takes it over immediately. Then we're going one step down to the category colors. So I don't know if you noticed, but every single card you add to a planner can have a color. I'm going to show you. So here it is. This is a planner Sheryl showed you earlier, and you can see that on those cards there are colors. So on the side here, all the stripes, those are colors, and you can use them as well to guide your students through and give them special meanings. For example, define different choice categories, different kinds of exercises, or also maybe the difficulty level. So some might be red, some might be orange, some exercises might be green as well. So it's interesting that you can play with this as well for your students. So this is what we're going to do here. So for example, my first category will be just blue, it's okay. My second will be green. My third will be orange. And then I have red or something like that. Maybe some extra exercises. Those could be purple and so on, and so on. So you can kind of give your own meaning to them here in your category colors. You're going to give a meaning to your cards. So that is actually the first step you're going to do here. We're going to add some predefined tasks. So we're going to add all our tasks students have to complete in the planner. It doesn't matter if they already are in the planner for your students strict, so they have to follow them, or you just want to show them in the plus menu. In this case, we just have to add everything right away. So we have the general, we have our title, we have our category colors. Now we jump over to the predefined tasks, and we're going to add all our tasks right here. And when you add your first task, you give this a label. The label is just what it means, a short kind of instruction for your students maybe. We're just going to show it. So, for example, instructions. Like this. You can add your category here. So for instructions, for example, I want to give it a black color or a purple color. And if I'm not mistaken, that will be number 5 or 6. I'm not sure anymore, but you really have to see if you want to give this a color, you have to indicate the category here. And of course, the category will be connected to the category you gave here. So 5 is purple. And for instructions, I want purple cards. Then I can add an image. I can add an image, and that's also interesting to see. If you want to add an image, you can see that these symbols here are nice to use as well. They're very visual as well. So if you want to add an image, if you want to add the visual, you can choose here to add an image. You can choose one from your computer. You can import one from your Google Drive or find an image online right away in the Pixabay image library. Instructions like this. And if you find one you like, you just click on it and it will be added to your card. The next thing you can do is add an audio fragment. You can use this to add even more instructions if you want, or to guide students through your card as well. So you can record right away in BookWidgets like this. Click on the card to read the instructions. Accept, and it's in there right away. And then the last thing is, of course, the most important thing. Behind the card, we're going to put an assignment, or in this case, our instructions for our students. What you can do is add a link to a website, to YouTube, to other materials if you want to guide students to somewhere else. But you can also keep them inside BookWidgets and add an instructional widget. To do this, I click on Select Widgets. And then my screen will open. And this is why I created a folder with all my widgets that are already ready to use in the planner. So I navigate to my right group. Here it is. Let's create a planner. And now I have to choose the widget I want to add to that particular card. So in this case, I want to add my instructions. Widget with instructions. I just click on it, and now this widget is added to this card. And this I'm going to do for each card. So I'm going to do it, but a little bit faster, of course, because it's a repetitive job right now. So I'm going to add another one. I want them to do some theory, to watch a video. I'm going to add category 1, it's okay. I'm not going to add an image. I'm not going to add audio, but I'm going to add a link. And in this case, I'm going to add a link to YouTube. So it's really easy. I have my YouTube video right here. I click on share, I copy the YouTube link, and I put it right here, and I am done again. So my second card is done. I'm going to add another one. This time I want them to do some theory exercises to learn something. Okay, and I'm going to add it, category 2, select a widget, here it is. And so I want to do some theory. I want them to practice the fruits in French. I have some flashcards ready, and I added it to a task as well. After they did some theory, I want them to practice. So I'm going to add practice label, choose category 3, and then again, link to a widget, practice, here it is, a crossword riddle. After they practice, they have to test themselves. Test yourself. Again, choosing another category. The categories, of course, are optional. So it's only if you really indicate the colors to your students what they mean, you have to put them in. If you don't really put a meaning on the colors, on the categories, you don't have to put them in. And then test yourself. And here we are with all our widgets that we have, but I have some more widgets. So I'm going to add some more last widgets, and let's see, practice extra, and then again, test extra, and I have one more to add. Theory extra. Okay. Okay, so when I go to preview now, I have an empty planner with my task list. So with an extra menu where my students will be able to add everything they want. So it's really interesting to know if you just choose a title, choose the categories and add all your tasks, you start with an empty planner where your students get a plus menu and they can choose whatever they put in. This kind is an empty planner or a choice board you can use for your students. So that's the first part of creating an empty planner. Then you have to do 3 things. You have to add your title, choose the category colors, and add all your predefined tasks. So we're going to go a little bit further now. And after we add our predefined task, you can see that we have an empty planner. The next step is to create an initial task list. This means that we want that students already have some tasks ready that they really have to do from the teacher, and then they can start adding some more things if they need to. So this would be a half and half planner. So let me show you how you can do that. So after adding all your predefined tasks, we have to indicate what tasks need to be in the planner already when our students open the exercise. So we go to General and we open here the initial task list. So we click here, Open, and this is where we have to indicate all the tasks that need to be listed at once when the student opens the planner. So in this case, instructions, theory, no, watch the video, theory, practice, and test yourself. It is also needed and necessary that everything you write here, it has to be on a new line below each other, and it has to be the exact same title as in your predefined tasks as the labels you put in there. So I'm going to check again if I didn't make any mistakes. So go to predefined tasks, instructions, watch a video, theory, practice, test yourself. So I can see here now that this should be A and there should be an exclamation mark. And now when I go to preview, I will see something else. It also says that I created a mistake. Okay, I have to change that. But now I can see that all these tasks are already in it and it's not empty anymore. So these are all the tasks that are in it as well. So it indicates if you did make a mistake in the label, it will say that you have to take a look at it. So I did make a mistake with test yourself. I'm going to take a look and see if I maybe added, yes, there's a space here. So watch your space here as well, because it will take it with as well. Okay, so that is the planner with the predefined task that we've added. Now we're going to take a look at the advanced settings. So in this case, our students are allowed to reorder the tasks. They're allowed to insert tasks, but I don't want them to define new tasks and I don't want them to allow to delete tasks. So let's see. When I go to my general, where I just added my initial task list, I go one step down and I click on advanced here. And here are the things that my students will be able to do in my planner. And in this case, I have these exercises that my students have to create. So I don't want them to be able to delete all those tasks. And I don't want them to be able to allow them to define new tasks. So in this case, I'm disabling this and I'm going to click on preview again. And so you can see that they cannot delete all the tasks they have to do first. Okay, now we're going back again. So back and forth, we're going to preview again because we have a half and half planner. This means that they have exercises they have to create already. And then they still have this plus button. So when they are done going through all these exercises, they can still add all the other assignments. So they can do a theory extra, a practice extra, and an extra test as well. And this is their planner. So when there are students that are done real quick, you just say to them, yeah, make sure to also do the theory extra, practice extra, and a test extra. So they are still working on your assignment. As you can see, in this exercise, I didn't add an image. So it will always indicate a black calendar task image right here. And if you add images, if you don't add images, but if you add widgets, it will always take over the widget icons right away. One small tip, if you're looking for interesting images to use, icons to use, like the planners we've just showed you, you can always go to Noun Project, and I love this website. You can just search for any kind of icon here and you can use them right away. So the Noun Project is a real good one for adding logos and icons right inside your widgets. Okay. After the advanced settings, we have the half and half planner. So we have an initial task list and students can add more tasks by clicking on the plus in the menu. We're going further. If you change those advanced settings, you can create a strict planner, so a strict learning path. So here, I am not going to allow my students to insert tasks, and I'm not going to allow my students to reorder tasks. And when I click on preview now, it's just this path that my students have to follow. It's this path that my students have to follow, and they cannot put any more assignments, tasks inside the planner. So it's really interesting that if you have added everything, if you had added an initial task list and disabled all the advanced options, you have the strict planner. Again, how does it work for students? They can click on your audio icon, click on the card to read the instructions. They can click on the card to read the instructions, and they have to go back to the planner to be able to go further. In this case, I created a widget. It's just a quiz with, and I didn't enable students to submit their answers. And I also didn't enable students to see the right answers because there are no right answers. In this case, it is just an informational widget, actually just a text question inside a quiz. So you can use that for instructions as well. But as Sheryl showed you too, you have the instructions option now in BookWidgets as well. So students have to click on this small arrow to go back. And then they have to tick it off, and then they have to watch the video.
J'aime les bananes.
Voila. And then they have to go back. Okay, it's not in preview, it doesn't work like that, but they can go back if it's not in preview. Then they have to practice some theory right here.
Un melon. Blackberry. Une mûre.
And go on and go on and go on. You see again this little arrow, go back, and so on until they have finished your learning path. I want to show you something else. So you might say that students get a little bit lost if they create a widget and then they cannot go back. This is also an option to make it a little bit more clear. So let's go out of our student view and go to the advanced options again. Here we have this back button label. So here I can say back to the planner. And when I click on preview now and open a widget, instead of this little arrow, I have this button back to the planner. So it's much more clear for my students to click on this and then again, check off this planner. Okay. And that's of course the strict learning path planner where you just give your students a learning path that they have to follow. And this is how you create 3 different planners step by step. You start with a complete empty planner. If you are adding, then you can add a predefined task list. And those predefined tasks you put in there will be put on your planner initially as well, which means that you will have a half and half planner. And then in this case, you can change the advanced settings to get a strict learning path planner as well. Okay, and I guess I am done explaining how you can create this. And then I'm going to give the word back to Sheryl. Yeah. One more thing before I go. Of course, I explained that you can add instructions as well. You can find this here. Sheryl showed you already. So here you can add instructions. When your planner starts, it immediately pops up. If you like to do it this way, you can do it this way. I showed you another way as well by adding an initial task as well and just showing already the instructions on the task list in the planner for your students. That's also possible. And now I'm going to officially give the word to Sheryl.
And we're going to go ahead now and really focus on something that Lucie talked about that was so important, is getting all of your work together. And then we want to share it with other people. I'm all about, if you follow me on the Facebook group or on Twitter, you know, there's 2 things that I always say: let's learn together and work smarter, not harder. So if Lucie has a widget that I think that I can use exactly as it is or adapt, I'm going to ask her, hey, can we create a group or a folder that we can share all of our widgets? And I want to show you how to do that. So we're going to hop on out to our BookWidget dashboard, right where Lucie was in creating her widget, but we're not going to be in My Widgets this time. We're going to scroll down to where it says My Groups. In My Groups, I have a whole list of groups that I belong to. And here is the planner group where Lucie and I collaborate on widgets together. So I've created a planner group, and Lucie can join my group, and she can then see all of my widgets. And you'll notice here, once again, that tip that Lucie gave us: make a folder so that all of your widgets are together in that folder. So if Lucie wants to take all of my widgets, you see that she can't select the folder here. She's going to open it up. She's going to select everything that goes along with that widget, and then she can duplicate it, use it however she wants to. She can also create a folder to put some in. She can move those widgets. I would hope she doesn't move them, but that perhaps she saves them, duplicates them, because if she moves them, then I might not have access to them anymore. So how do we find these groups that teachers can join or find other planners? Don't forget that you have that discovery section for groups. So if Lucie and I haven't talked to each other, I said, Lucie, I have all these great widgets that I'm going to share with you. I've created this group. Please join. Here's the link. I can search for groups. I can come down here and say, are there any planner groups that I can join? Oh, here's a planner group. This is my group, but here you would have where you can request to join the group. So that's a quick, easy option that you can use to find those planners. But once again, I want to remind you, it's important that you not only duplicate the planner is that planning sheet, but you also want to make sure that you duplicate all of the widgets within this planner. Now, when you duplicate the planner and all of the widgets inside the planner, it's ready to be shared, other teachers can find it, and we can work collaboratively together. Super important as well that if you're going to use any of those widgets, you want to make sure that you replace the widgets in the planner with your widgets in case you have any adaptations. Maybe you added some voice recording, or maybe you had some options that you want to check or uncheck. So make sure that you take a look at all of that. And if you've made any changes, that you replace those widgets that you made changes on with the ones that I already went ahead and created for you. Now, when it comes down to students submitting their work, we showed you that they don't turn in a planner. They turn in the widgets associated with the planner. The planner is the guide to keep them on the learning path. But if you are in an LMS, any of the LMS that BookWidgets support, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Blackboard, Schoology, so many that we support, don't forget the live widget option. So while the students are in the planner, you can see what section of the planner they're on, and you can follow their learning progress. This is a really great tool to have, that live widget option, because you can see right away if a student is stuck. If they're on the instructions and they're not moving on, it might be a great way for you to reach out to them. In the face-to-face classroom, you could go talk to them individually. If you're in a hybrid or virtual classroom, you could send them a message and reach out to them. So it's still a great way that you can communicate and keep in touch with your students using that live widget. Now remember, your students are going to submit the widgets inside the planner. So the students were going to submit the crossword puzzle that they have, the quiz that they have, the worksheet that they have. But there's a couple of things that are a little bit different when you use the planner. First, you're going to receive all of the student answers separately for each widget. So you get all of the worksheet answers, all of the quiz answers, and any other widgets that you have there. Students will need to provide an email address. If you use an LMS, we're working on getting those integrations connected in the planner. But right now, if you're using that LMS, you'll still have to have the students provide that email address, especially if you want to return grades, comments, or feedback to the students. And you will need to look for the student work within your BookWidgets account, not inside that LMS. So we're going to come to our grading. And we're not going to find the work inside our LMS. We're going to find that work so that we can find those activities that we want to grade for our students and send them back. So it's just a little bit of a different way of returning the work and receiving the work, but it's very seamless and easy to use. And of course, if you ever get stuck, you can reach out to support@bookwidgets.com, and we'll be more than happy to walk you through that process again. Right here, we have at the bottom of the slide our email for support, support@bookwidgets.com. I want to talk about groups a little bit more. I'm all about finding great activities that other teachers have. Like, I love that holiday digital web quest. I found that from another teacher. And so I want to remind you again how we find those groups. We're going to go to My Groups, Discover Groups. So let's take a look at it here. We're in our widgets. We scroll down to My Groups. And then all the way at the bottom, I have a little bit of ways to go because, as you can see, I love collaborating with other teachers. I'm going to search for a group. Say I want something on science lesson on body parts. Oh my gosh, I just have that coming up, I might say. And here you can see that you are allowed to join this group. Groups can be set up in different ways. And let me just quickly show you, if you wanted to set up a group, how that would look. I'm going to create a new group. I'm going to give my group a name and a description that will help other teachers know if they want your group. This is the part that I wanted to show you. There are 3 types of group. A secret group, it's my group, I made it just for me, and I'm not sharing anything in it. A closed group is that science group on body parts that I just showed you. I have to request to join. And if you're really courageous and love sharing, then you can use a public group. Anybody can look into the group and make anything that they want, see anything that they want, take anything they want from that group. So you get to choose whether you want your group to be public, closed, or a secret group. And then of course you would click that save button so that others can find your group if you so want them to. Think about how you could use this in a school or across a district or with other teachers that you collaborate with, grade levels, content area levels. Lucie had one on French, maybe we want advanced French and beginning French. So everything there right for you in groups. Several groups that I like. I love the primary education group, the teaching English group if you're an English teacher, English language arts, or English teacher. And of course, everybody wants to join the BookWidgets blog group. The BookWidgets blog group is so incredibly awesome because it has every widget that's associated with any blog post that we've had. They're already organized for you. So if you want to find something specific from a blog, you can look right through here. I need some primary school lesson ideas, and here's, oh my gosh, every single widget that's associated with it. And remember, you don't have to use the widget exactly as it is there. You're going to duplicate the widget into your account, and then you can make any additions, deletions, updates that you want. Lucie and I also want to remind you of our upcoming webinars. We see some of you who are already at our differentiating webinar and the power of the planner. Coming up next week, we have using BookWidgets in languages, and then all of our other webinars scheduled through June. So we really hope that you find time to join us. Of course, if you can't join us, make sure that you register so that we can send you the recording link. And then also, if you haven't yet joined, we have a really awesome Facebook group. And the Facebook group, you can request to join our Facebook group. And we have teachers always sharing all sorts of activities for everybody to use. We already have a May Day widget here for May Day and Labor Day. Once again, ready-made widgets that you can use in your classroom directly from BookWidgets. So we have lots of ways that we want to connect with you, collaborate with you, and support you as you're using BookWidgets in your classroom. Please take advantage of all of those opportunities that we have for you.